aha Ghanatube so modofo snowy masan so atenase ensem ahodo a ekoso ewo omega ni mu no onsa beka busiafo matenase se no makwakoje emwa bebre de apa na intempa no ye hakotie nia ekoso ewo omani ne ba na busiafo me demo atoaso.
There's a more substantive discussion, conversation we're having before you joined us. But I'll pick your thoughts on that as well. It has to do with Kenneth Foriata, but let me just do this quickly. You know, must have been a month or two ago where Justin Frimpong Kodia, who is your General Secretary, issued a statement and asked persons who are interested in leading the party going forward to desist from making statements that would sort of, you know, basically paint the party in a bad way, would make it look like washing the party's dirty linen in public, or put the party's image in disrepute, and rather focus on building the party, because without a party, no candidate can make any meaningful progress in the next elections. But it appears that some potential aspirants have either not paid heed to what the General Secretary has said, and they are on their own frolic, or either they have heard it or not heard it, but whatever it is, all kinds of comments are being made. And in fact, at the beginning of this program, we played a video of Agyapong, where he was making all kinds of comments about anybody who has lost elections by 2 million votes should not even dream of contesting an election, because this is the worst the party has ever recorded by way of a defeat, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's what's happening. Is it that the party leadership is not able to call people to order? Is there leadership paralysis in the party? How do you get persons who are making comments like this to pipe down and to realize the times, which is there's a new government. It appears the government is enjoying some goodwill. The focus should be how to build the party, the MPP, you know, so that whoever emerges in the party's internal contest will then get the backing of everybody. Help us understand what's happening. What's going on?
On the party front,
yes,
I'll leave the party issues to the party leadership to handle it. I wouldn't want to come on a big platform and make commentary about the leadership style or leadership decisions of my party.
Right.
I have my personal views. Those are personal views. And I think at the appropriate forum, I will share those personal views. So I wouldn't want to put Kodia or chairman and team or anyone on board and sort of dissect their decision making vis-a-vis their pushback or however they deem appropriate to manage the party. I think that's a conversation we can have off air. But as far as other aspirants, look, my boss is determined and focused on one thing. How do we unify this party, right? And that is what he's going to stick to. Of course, no one is going to bully him, and no one is going to say things and get away with it. Certainly not. I mean, the times where, you know, people will say certain things, make certain comments, you know, he will definitely make his case. He will.
He will?
He will make his case, and he has a case to make. The party has a history, and will definitely interrogate the history. It is not up to Kofi to come and distort or put out my interpretation of the history. The history is there, and there are nuances to every history, right? And so at the right time, we'll make a claim, and we'll make it forcefully. But as it stands, my boss is focused on unity, and so I will not engage in any discussion that will go contrary to the position of my boss. But let it be known that my boss is not a pushover. Nobody can push him over. He will make his case and make it very forcefully, but the time will come. For now, what we will do as a party is continue to focus on bringing the entire party together, making sure our utterances are those that bring people together and not divide us. So I will respectfully, as a young person, urge all persons who are aspiring to lead this party to do same. Because after all, once you win the leadership race and you become the leader of the party or the flag bearer of the party, you need all of us to work with. You need all of us to work with. And so don't make your job harder for yourself. Because if you spite someone, it will be very difficult going back to the same person to ask for their support. And that is why we have made a concerted effort to ensure that we don't go out and spite people. Of course, there are people who love Dr. Bawumia, who make their own commentary, and you can't tell everybody or coerce everyone on what to say and how to say things. But for those who speak for him, those who are his assistants, his aides, we will be very measured in our utterances to ensure that we protect the unity and cohesion that we need in this party. But let it be said again that my boss is not a pushover. Nobody can bully him. Nobody can push him over. When the time comes, he will make his case, and he will make his case very forcefully.
Yeah. You know, it's my final comment. The vice president is focused on fostering peace within the party. But do you get a sense that others want same?
That is their choice.
Especially when it would take two to tango.
You see, that's their choice. I cannot determine for others what they have to do with their time, with their energies, with their resources, and more importantly, the way they think.
My first thing is, if this is what he wants to make peace with others, but the others don't want to make peace with him, how can he achieve that objective if the others don't seem to be interested?
It's not about making peace with individuals.
Unity. That's the point I'm making.
It's not about making peace with individuals. Or you can't make peace with everybody in this world.
Right.
It's not about individuals. It's about the collective, the party. He needs to behave in a way and manner that brings everybody together. Of course, there are people, irrespective of what you do, they will not be satisfied.
Okay.
But the majority, and that's why we practice democracy. Look, Hamza and his party are in power now. I don't agree with it, right? But as long as President Mahama does what he needs to do as a president in a democratic manner, we'll have a peaceful and unified nation. And we go on. They have their 4 years. When the time comes, we'll go back to the ballot and take a decision. But as long as they operate within the remits of the law, we have a unified front and a unified nation, and we move on. Look, I will never sit anywhere for once and wish evil for this nation just because President Mahama is president. Doesn't mean I support President Mahama. I don't support him, and I will never support him. So we don't necessarily need every individual to like Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia must operate within the laws and do so respectfully with peace and unity in mind.
Okay.
Once he does that, that's all. How other people behave, the delegates and the party people will judge. And they will decide the right person who can bring all of us together.
Based on the language you've heard so far from some of the potential aspirants or some of the aspirants, do you have concerns? Do you fear
of
that
course
things,
I have concerns. I have great concerns.
Things could degenerate going
forward? I have
forward?
grave concerns. No two ways about it. I have grave concerns. But as I've said, I don't even make commentary on Facebook, for example. I don't say anything about anyone because I believe there are appropriate places to address these issues. I have grave concerns. Look, I have friends on the other side. Some I've called and I've queried. You know, I've called and I've queried. I said, look, what is going on? You know, so, and I feel when you have concerns, you go to them, you talk to them, and then, you know, you settle it. But of course, I have grave concerns.
Yo, ya hagotie and some no about bit me at the comments about comment section. Measure I can kind na at the amount of make I will say aha a Ghanatube so in some air by or my Ghana. Nina no on sa Erica on subscribe na so found sa emia notification bell no so send your bear and send no ye de tuma na wenya no in tempa so sisi ade macram.